Motion to approve the minutes from December.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, minutes are approved. Great. We'll start with actually, we don't have anybody else tuned in, right? Iggy, this is just, we don't have any public comment, right? Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. So, we'll start with the old business. And I actually wasn't at the December meeting, so I watched the field maintenance presentation. And there's time to have a follow-up discussion if anybody has anything they wanted to talk about that after, a month of thinking of the field presentation. Nothing, huh? I thought it was a good presentation. And kind of what we expected, that the fields are a bit over scheduled. And now we know why they close them when they are wet. So, all right.
Actually, there's one thing that I wanted to follow up on just quickly. One of the things that I had asked John about was the willingness for them to talk about field closure procedures,
Right.
and the lack of specificity in terms of what the criteria are, and they committed to that. So I'll follow up with him on that, and if anybody wants to be part of that conversation, please let me know, so we can make sure you're included.
I would like to be included in that.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Sam.
Okay, great.
And I'm sorry, to add just one quick note on that. There is a document that Athletic Field Maintenance utilizes with a little bit more information regarding the criteria that they look at when making those field closure decisions. That is something that we can share with the Sports Commission as well.
Okay.
Great.
If you send it to me, I can distribute it.
Perfect. Lizzie, I will do that.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Iggy.
Hamilton, did you have something too?
Yeah, just also just anybody else who'd be willing to help in coming up with a package for the coaches and everything, just to remind them about the fields and the importance of not using them in certain times based on what they were saying about the Bermuda grass, when it grows, when it doesn't grow, and the periods where it's most vulnerable, particularly around freezing time. So anyway.
I mean, Iggy, do you feel like the county communicates well with the sports leagues on that? I mean, for the most part, grass fields are, I guess they're closed in the winter. I mean, they are and they aren't, right?
No, the grass fields are.
Yes.
Okay.
Most grass fields during the winter are closed. With that being said, I think some of the field closure decisions are a bit more contentious, specifically for the diamond leagues, just because you had the added consideration of dirt, and there is just some additional maintenance and information that goes into making those decisions. I mean, for the most part, unless it's a torrential downpour, or for example, like this upcoming weekend is a great example. If we are going to get the amount of inclement weather that we are scheduled to get, synthetic turf fields would most likely be closed as well. So it obviously kind of depends on what we're actually talking about, but I would say those decisions are a bit more nuanced when it comes to the diamond fields.
And then Sam, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, and it sounds like I would have had some input. So just one question, has there been thought to move towards an electronic, like a website where it shows it rather than a voicemail that lists everything that's closed?
That wasn't discussed last week, but I can tell you that I've had conversations with them about that, because Montgomery County is a good example of where they have that. They have a website that shows the individual field status. I've had conversations with previous folks in Iggy's position about that, and it was basically said, oh yeah, we'll look into that, but it hasn't come to fruition. My guess is that there's this concern about the management of that would be more time consuming than the current system. But I do agree that it would be a better way for us to be able to have a more nuanced approach to closing fields than what currently happens. But it wasn't discussed last week or last month.
Joe, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just curious at the end of the last meeting. I know, Hamilton, you mentioned that Susan Cunningham has asked for kind of some information around the use of recreational fields, and I wasn't sure if we were going to discuss that at all. I don't remember seeing that data come around, but interested in that. And I know we were talking also about the pool in Longbridge. So just anything on that, maybe to.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Joe. Yeah, Lizzie, do you want to say
Oh,
something?
no, you go first, Hamilton.
No worries. Yeah, she was actually, we were looking for data on the use of the different the rec centers around the county. And so we're trying to get that data, but it's a bit more nuanced as far as how we get that. So we're looking at that right now. But yeah, that's what I think Susan was driving at versus the actual use of the fields. But the presentation was more just to communicate, because my basic worry is a lot of pickup players on the field. I see a lot of pickup players in vulnerable times on the field, and that's my one big concern. I think the leagues are pretty good at communicating it, but also they can't, when they do the shutdown of the fields, they can't be everywhere. And sometimes there are fields that they say are open that really should not be used when you actually get there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
So the-
was just gonna, I was just gonna say with regard to like the field closure decisions, the county is very nice to actually talk with people that are involved in some of the sports leagues, to see, whether they've been out to look at a field to provide, a little bit of information, which, I think is really nice. I think the part that's kind of interesting is the baseball has a lot more, I think someone may have already said this, like nuance where some fields can open and some cannot, they have more variance, if you will, than like, say, like a rectangular fields. And sometimes that call, they handle the diamonds fields first, which can go for 20 or 30 minutes, while the rectangulars are almost like a split section. I mean, it's very little, very often it's all or none. It's not, oh, we're going to do this with these 5 and what have you. So that I know has caused us some difficulty. And then with regard to the use of the grass fields, I mean, I think that DPR would easily have like the hours. And I know that you all had been working on something, or at least Mariah had been working on something to kind of take a sampling of like what was it, a utilization?
Yes, the field utilization pilot program that we
Yeah.
are running, that came from a recommendation from the Public Spaces Master Plan. That is currently ongoing. It's something that is being conducted during the fall and spring seasons. Again,
Okay.
it is a pilot program where we are trying to gauge from our partner groups actual times and verification as to whether they're actually utilizing the field or not. We do have information in our scheduling system based off of permits, but oftentimes that information isn't necessarily 100% accurate, and it can be anything from a partner league not telling us that a certain field is not being used, or maybe a field is being used for a certain amount of time, not necessarily the entire permitted time. Weather cancellations as well, that we on the back end go in and kind of update. So there's just a lot of variability. And with this pilot program, to gauge in terms of how many folks are actually utilizing the fields is a work in progress, and we're continuing to improve upon the process. And again, though, this is only looking at our partner leagues that use the fields. It doesn't get any data on drop-in use.
What is the plan for that in the spring? Is that Mariah? I mean, or maybe it's not sorted out yet. Are they going to be monitoring some locations?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
The
okay.
plan is to continue requesting that information from certain partner leagues that are permitted at certain fields, and kind of collecting that data to get a better idea for a full year in terms of field usage at a select number of fields.
Okay. I know that there have been like a sort of reporting problems. And
in the past, in terms of lessons learned, there was in the first iteration of this process, I believe QR codes were used to
yes,
try
right.
and gain that information from the user groups, but we had a lot of issues with the QR code signs walking away, being damaged. We also struggled with the response rate as well for certain groups. So this is all kind of feedback that we're gathering to improve the process come springtime.
Okay. Okay. So I think you will hopefully pass along some document that I can share with everybody, and that kind of closes out the field maintenance presentation follow-up. So if we want to move on to the Parks and Rec Commission liaison update, that would be you, Adam, or Hamilton, one or the other. I don't know. Did you guys meet this past week?
We met on Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
And what we did is actually went through each one of the individual reports. There were lots of little subcommittees that look at every single proposal to impacts of the Parks and Rec. And there was a detailed discussion of a lot of different projects, including in one that's going up in Ballston, a 22-story proposal. But Adam, do you want to add some more detail?
I would say, I'm just trying to think if there's anything that was sports related of those sites. I can't think of one that had a field component that I can think of. No, I don't think so. And just as a side note, we talked last month about the River House project. Unfortunately, the plan was approved without the request that the Park and Recreation Commission had asked, which was either to supply a replacement for the recreational facilities that they were removing during this first phase, or to provide funding to help support it at Virginia Hills Park that was not acted upon by the county board, unfortunately. But yeah, no, I can't think of any projects that were related to involve fields.
Adam, I zoned out for just a second reading the chat, but you were saying that you mentioned something was talked about at the county board in terms of the project at the down at Virginia Highlands. And just that, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, sure, quickly. So last month at this meeting, we discussed. I
heard that.
Yeah, okay, got it. So the county board did not take the Park Recreation Commission's recommendation that the River House applicant do something to mitigate the fact that they were going to be removing active recreational space from the River House property during this first phase, the dog park and the the tennis courts.
Tennis courts, right? Okay, okay. That's what were some ideas that there for mitigation, like just contributing money or?
Sure, yes. The two recommendations were one to provide alternative, in other words, build something to
Okay.
replace that, or provide funding that could be used by the county for that purpose.
Okay.
Because the big issue was that the master planning for Virginia Highlands Park is not going to be taking place until 2030, I think, at the earliest. And there's a gap between when the River House project is going to be removing and the recreational opportunities, but also adding more residents at the same time.
Right.
And so that gap is what we're trying to mitigate.
Yeah, I don't have any good ideas for that situation, but it doesn't sound like a good situation at all.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back. And then in the chat, George has asked about the Better Sports Club is looking for a guest speaker for February and asking if there were any ideas. It looks like that meeting is planned for 2/4. George, can you talk about who they've had in the past?
Yeah, they've had a variety of interesting speakers. They've had notable sports reporters from USA
Okay.
Today and Washington Post. They've had athletes from the area. They had Tori, the Olympic swimmers, swimming coach, speak. They had Craig Esherick, who was the Georgetown basketball coach, as well as a Arlington Sports Hall of Fame inductee speak. So they've had a variety of interesting talkers come in, and it's usually pretty low key. It's a kind of a dinner setting, and usually either a facilitated discussion, i.e., there's a person asking some questions and then taking some questions from the group, or somebody comes in with some prepared remarks and just sort of points to the crowd, and folks can blurt out questions and that sort of thing. So they're a really great organization. My wife works closely with the organization, and she flagged to me knowing that I was going to be here at the sports commission meeting. Figured I would at least shake the trees and see if they could get somebody to come in. Nothing like last minute, so but they kind of dropped the ball a little bit, no pun intended, and there we are.
Megan's typing something. All right, if anybody thinks of something, put it in the chat. Or email George after the meeting.
So George, how long are they normally looking for somebody to talk?
Usually somebody talks for 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and then plus some Q&A on top of it. Sometimes you've got folks with a lot to say. Craig Esherick is I think he probably spoke for 45 minutes. He's got, lots of interesting stories. He does a lot of speaking. The USA Today reporter, life of me, I can't remember his name, but he was absolutely fantastic as well. So,
because you know what I'm thinking, Lizzie.
What are you thinking, Hamilton?
You're always looking to recruit. They're going to be representatives from all the different sports in Arlington.
Yeah.
And we could talk a bit about the fields that we have, the facilities we have, and the purpose of the sports commission, and how we, our liaison role with the Arlington government, who we love a lot, by the way, Iggy, just to make that clear. So that
Oh,
might be an opportunity to communicate with the people who are users of a lot of different facilities here. So
we'll think on that. I feel like, did they give out the Hall of Fame awards? Is that where Alberto and Gabriella Toulouse got awards at the Better Sports Club? Did they have an awards banquet like 3 or 4 months ago?
Yes, that's correct.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Okay. All right, we'll think about that. But thanks for bringing that up. On to open sports commission seats. Adding Kyle, I think we still have 3 seats open, and I'm sure we have a few people who are gonna rotate off who's let's see. I think we're still pretty good until we've got April. That's Dave Lansing. Do you have any more terms left, Dave? How many cycles have you been on the sports commission?
Don't know.
Don't know. Okay, we'll have to.
Look it up.
I think
What?
you're April,
I like
and so is
Member
now
for
it's-
life, David Lansing.
3 years or 4 years. I'm not sure. What's the?
Yeah,
what's the
I think you can serve 3 terms, so 6 years. Does that sound right, Iggy? Yeah. So maybe you have one more left.
yeah, I must have
Okay,
only done
okay,
2
okay.
then.
All right, so
can
that's
look
good
it up.
news. All right.
And do we have-
so
the other thing is, do we have a Debbie DeFranco, I think, retired? Do we have a replacement?
yeah,
for,
we have
Yeah.
we have Chris Wilmore, who's at Wakefield High School,
Perfect. Okay.
filled in. So
Well, he's no
all right.
longer at Wakefield, but
Oh, where did he go?
he used to be the Wakefield High School principal, but he's now in charge, and he has, I think, Deb's old
That's
position.
correct.
Okay, okay,
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
I'm not sure the title exactly, but
okay,
Hopefully.
okay. Okay, and I think Hamilton, we have another person outstanding that we need to talk to.
Yeah, I'm scheduled to
Yeah.
talk to another Tyler,
Yeah.
on tomorrow
Okay,
afternoon.
perfect. So just everybody, if somebody comes across your, be a good fit.
Right.
And then, what sports we don't have covered as well.
I have a name to introduce to the mix, and I'll ping you offline on that.
Okay.
So because I think
Okay.
I'm becoming a short timer fairly soon.
Yeah, I think you are as well. So close to the end of this year.
Yep.
11:30. Okay. All right. Back to next new business. We're not going to do the Kenmore project update. That'll be next month. Hamilton, do you want to do Susan Cunningham and then we'll do Madison project?
Yes,
Does that sound?
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just start. Lizzie and I chatted with Susan Cunningham, who has a stunning list of commissions that she interfaces with. When the county sent out their list, I was really surprised by how much engagement they do on the county board. So the main thing she did want is she gave links to some of the different budgets and said, we're all going to have to make hard choices this year. It's going to be a tough budget year. So she recommended we take a look at the budget documents when they come out and the proposals, because we're going to have to make some hard choices. Number 2, she definitely thought that we should look, our horizon is all sports. And that was the intent of the commission, not just the team sports, where most of the representation has been team sports, which I like. I prefer playing with teams, but I think Peter and others like to do it themselves. Is that correct, Peter? So
I mean, yeah, I mean the challenge may be individual, but you can still benefit from looking out for each other and having a team mindset.
cool. So I tried starting to look at what the different facilities are available across the county, at the fitness centers, and they're trying to do upkeep. And we're supposed to get a count, an estimate of how much use there is, and that follows up, as you mentioned, Joe, on the Long Bridge discussion. And we can try to think imaginatively, how do we, best serve all the sports wants and needs of the Arlington residents. So that's where I think big message is, hey, look at the budget and definitely try to think holistically of all the different opportunities for sports, even pickleball. So anyways, Lizzie, did you want to add some to our discussion with the very busy Susan Cunningham?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, I have some notes here just saying that, she did say there are probably going to have to be some cutbacks. She didn't know if they would have to limit recreation hours at some of these facilities you're talking about. Whether some fees might have to change. And, I don't know if they could end up having to push off some things that, they just can't do that are scheduled to happen. So I think that will all be very interesting. Hamilton, we should probably look through what she sent us and see what we should send out to everybody, which I can do later this weekend in the snowstorm. So that's probably covers it, but she's always very interesting to talk to. And has a lot of knowledge that kind of helps Hamilton and I have an idea of what we're supposed to be doing. So the next thing that is on this
Lizzie?
new business is
Lizzie?
yes.
Adam still has his hand up. I don't know if
Okay.
that's a new one.
No.
Okay.
But Mr.
Joe.
Dunn is allegedly number 2, but I think he's number 1.
Okay.
I was just curious, Lizzie and Hamilton, if she outlined like what's the typical budget process. I haven't, as a resident, I haven't really paid attention to those things as closely maybe as I should have. But like, is this where they come out with an initial and then they take feedback on it, and then from there they eventually will lead to a July 1 new budget? Is that the cycle?
Iggy,
Essentially, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask if Iggy knew for sure.
I am by no means an expert, so I will say more or less, Joe, what you said is accurate.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And
So this is the developmental phase where we could try to influence something if there is something to influence.
I think I think we would see what they are proposing, review it, give our input. I don't know what happens from there, but if we are strongly opposed to something, we, let them know and why, in a letter. So.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Madison Center project, overview. I don't know, Parks and Rec would be interesting to know, Adam, if you guys have been following this. I know that it just kind of came on our radar a little bit. But I'll give you guys kind of the details of what is going on with Madison Community Center, which is up pretty far in North Arlington. The address is 3829 North Stafford Street. It's all the way as Glebe Road comes around towards Chain Bridge. And, then you kind of go on Old Glebe and it's back up there. This community center was built in 1948 and has had very little done to it. It's quite in need of repair. The county is undertaking a major maintenance project to try to keep the building safe and functional. In order to do that, they are going to have to actually close it for a year. Hold on just a second. I'm sorry, my husband is coming in the back door. All right, sorry. So, John, I'm on the side again. Okay. Oh boy, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so the project is currently in the design and permitting phase, and construction is scheduled to begin in the spring of this year. And it will be closed for about a year. They are planning to, I mean, they're making pretty extensive improvements. And in order to to get it done quickly, that's why they're closing down and keep everything safe. As far as what's going to be happening, you know, it's getting a new HVAC system. They're replacing outdated window. Well, the HVAC system is going to get rid of the window units that are in the building and help with energy efficiency. They are having to do a new roof because of leaks and improve insulation. They're replacing the windows to eliminate single pane inefficiencies and reduce heat loss. They're updating ceiling tiles and lighting throughout the facility. They're going to renovate a lower level fitness room. I think it's really like 2 rooms. There's some sort of like a lower level fitness room, and they're going to make that part of the larger fitness room. They are going to redesign the fitness room to give a better flow and spacing to the equipment to try to make the whole thing a better overall experience. The restrooms have to be renovated to become ADA accessible. They will build an exterior ramp to the fitness room. The dog park and the playground and the parking lot and Fort Ethan Allen Park will remain open during the renovation. And the project is going to cost 6.7 million. And let's see what it says. It says the fiscal year 25-34 capital plan allocated 4.7 million for the renovation, and an additional 2 million is in the fiscal year 26 supporting lower level improvements and the HVAC. Then there is $250,000 set aside to after this is done to basically look at the whole area and figure out, what can be done. Again, I'm sure even if this is done in 2027, the time that the next renovation would happen at Madison Center would be a long ways off. But to do a study of the site and involve public engagement to look at a redesign of the, I think the entire area. And let's see, more information there. I have a link that I can send out. Anyway, I wanted to bring this to the commission's attention, just so will obviously be engaged when they are going to, do the study. But there are some people in the neighborhood around Madison Center who are not thrilled with what is being done because it's not really as much as they would like done at the community center. From some of the conversations I've had with Susan Cunningham, I know another area that they're having to do improvements before they do a entire redesign is Quincy Park, like the library. The library has had some issues that, they've had to put money in to kind of keep it open when really it is overdue for a renovation, but all of these things take time. So, I have had an email exchange with somebody in the Madison Community Center, because what they really want is a gym space, like a basketball or court space, similar to, what other community centers have. But that money is really not available for that part of the project. And knowing that they want to do a major renovation there, I'm not sure that, I don't know what this sports commission would feel about, at this point, I feel like this spring of 2026 is around the corner. I'm not really sure how you undo what is already being planned, but I just wanted to put that out there. If anybody has questions or concerns or opinions, we're happy to talk about this and hear what you all think. Yes, Adam.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my hand raising issue. So I'm doing it physically. So it's interesting because we have not had a discussion. Hamilton, I can't remember any discussion about Madison Community Center. It wasn't even brought up.
Okay.
So thank you for being on top of that. We'll definitely have to bring that to everyone's attention next month. I guess my questions are, so when is it, do you know when they're planning a major renovation of Madison Community Center?
I don't know that. I would expect it would be 6 to 10 years from now, but
Right.
Iggy, you might have a better idea about the time frame of these projects.
Yes, I mean, that's more or less correct. I don't know if an official timeline has been thrown out, but it would be kind of years from now, and after the conclusion of that study that Lizzie mentioned.
Right. Okay. Because I was trying to figure out if like there's an issue with doing all this work and then that having being undone and or for not in like 3 years. But if it's going to be like 6 or 10 years, then I can see why they would want to do something now to keep it open. I'm surprised given the level of work they're doing that it's going to be closed for an entire year. That seems like a long time. And I can understand as a resident, like you close this thing for a year and all you're doing is replacing the roof and reconfiguring some rooms and maybe a HVAC. I mean, I'm sure it's legit, but I can see why it might strike people as being a lot for a little.
Yeah, I don't know about these renovations, but I think that is probably the community members' thoughts as well. George, and then Dave. Oh, wait, actually, it's Dave. I'm sorry. I now see the numbering system. Dave.
All right, I'm gonna have to join the club figuring out how to lower my hand. But okay, so I think I can understand the community's kind of concerns there, right? So if the building is from pre-1950 and it's been through significant neglect, then why hasn't it been a little bit more front and center for either a major renovation or a tear down and a rebuild? And it sounds like they're concerned that we're doing just a little bit of work to keep it up and running when it really being prioritized for the kind of making it as a usable space for the residents in that area. But I don't know from a sports perspective where, like, what could we affect? Where, but within this commission, what would be like the areas that we would be able to have impact on and decisions being made in this project?
I think the timeline is, I feel like it would be difficult for us to have an impact at this point. Hamilton?
Yeah, just a couple things because we did get some more background on this from other people. Number one, basically the HVAC system isn't working anymore. That's why they need to repair it. And the second thing they have to do is they have to put American Disabilities Act. There's not ADA access there, and so they have to address that issue. And they're actually doing some more extensive changes, but they're not doing major. They're not putting in a basketball court or anything like that, but they're lowering some of the flooring, creating more room, and replacing a lot of the equipment. So it's not just 6.7 million is a bit more than just a minor renovation. So but it was mainly the background they gave us is kind of an emergency move because, when the HVAC crank stops working in the middle of the summer, people can't use it. So that's the other pieces of background. Anyways, I think
George?
Is George next or Kyle next?
Yeah, I think George is next.
Yeah, maybe just an observation, but I think we might have, it, if in the austere budget environment that we are in and that we're going into, certainly in 2026, I think the idea of even just this renovation will probably get a lot of scrutiny and from folks who would be wanting to do less than even what's proposed. So I would almost be girded to think about how we defend the what seems to be practical, necessary for safety, and probably necessary just to even preserve the building. Because once you let it go too far, then you end up with major issues, so flooding issues or things like that end up really spiraling in terms of cost. But I would almost think that we need to gird to preserve what minimal amounts of renovations are being done, because that 6 point something million in the budget will sit there as a pretty juicy target for someone to suggest that it should be pushed elsewhere.
Right. That's a good point. And Kyle?
First off, I want to agree with what George just said. I guess one of the things looking at the floor plan that Iggy sent a copy of a link to the project, and that includes a link to the lower level floor plan, which shows the amount of expansion being done to the fitness room, to the exercise room, and it's going from microscopic to teeny tiny. I mean, it's still not much at all. And in a sense, I guess, well, I absolutely agree with, if the building is in disrepair, it needs to be maintained as structurally sound. But I wouldn't mind having a better understanding of how the county decides when to do a renovation and when they decide to do a complete tear down and rebuild. And I say that speaking as somebody who lives near Lubber Run, which was just used to be, it was as uninviting a building to ever walk into as you ever wanted to see. And now, of course, it's just glorious. The new structure is just wonderful. So I just don't, I'm sure they have fairly specific criteria. Or if they don't, they probably should get some, but I don't.
I think my thought is that on some of these projects, they just take a lot longer to get to the point where they are up next for consideration, if you will, right? Like they have, their demands for upgrading and renovations is extensive, and like, how does something, push higher on that list? And because, of what we're in right now with the budget and what have you, I don't know, that this could push, up to, it would go out of use, I guess, if this stuff is not done until it could be renovated, which would probably be a several year long process to get to that point, is my thought. Iggy, does that sound accurate? Like,
Yes.
okay.
At the crux of this project, it is a maintenance project. Like Lizzie outlined, a lot of building related issues have been documented for quite some time. And this project is aimed at rectifying those issues and modernizing certain building systems. To the question regarding what is kind of taken into account when making decisions about doing a sort of maintenance project to an existing building versus kind of a complete tear down, that's something I could get more information on and report back, because I think that would be fairly helpful to have.
That would be good. Anyone else have any questions? Oh, Adam, yes.
Yeah, just to kind of, I wouldn't assume that there are a lot of criteria with that. I mean, the school system, because I just recently served on the facilities advisory council for APS, and it was only within the last year that a long range maintenance and renovation plan criteria prioritization was put in place, and so I haven't heard of anything like that for county buildings. And the school has a lot more buildings, I think, than the county does in terms of ones that they need to keep repaired. So I would not assume that the county has big criteria there. And the major tear down stuff, that's always going to be a capital improvement. So that's the place to look for what the plans are for major tear down kind of situations. And that's why I asked about when this one was on the list. Maybe there's a case to be made that the Madison Center should be kind of bumped up in terms of priority, given the condition. That might be a place where we could advocate for it to be bumped up in the next CIP.
I think that seems reasonable. And I don't know what doing this renovation project does to the planning of the, renovation of the whole site. Because obviously, like, I imagine what is going to be planned there is going to be something like what's at Lever Run would be my guess. Very modern, very, well done. So I don't know. And again, I think even on a rush, it would be 6 years from now. So
I don't suppose we have a list of all of the other community centers that have some sort of maintenance issue or that's not
unfortunately, I don't know what, but most of the other community centers have, there's Lever Run, there's
Arlington Mill,
Arlington Mill.
a newer
There's
facility.
A lot of them are a lot newer and have been redone. I think you have the Lee Center, which is, I think, closed currently. I'm not sure what's going on there, but that building's probably not as old as Madison Center. But I think a lot of them have been redone, which is probably why the neighbors of Madison Center see all of these really amazing community centers, and that's what they want. And you can understand why, but I can kind of understand the county's situation right now where they want to be able to keep it open because the planning cycle to get a new community center is not just going to happen overnight.
The only community center that might be somewhere in the same ballpark in the age spectrum would be the Fairlington. Strikes me. I don't know exactly how old Barcroft is, but Barcroft might be the next oldest, and it's still a relatively young modern facility.
There used to be one somewhere near Pentagon, but I forget what it was, or if it's still there.
And I know they've got work planned for Thomas Jefferson, but I'm not sure what.
Okay. Yeah. Iggy, do you know what's going to happen at Thomas Jefferson?
I do not have any information.
Okay, she'll not. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to bring that up, and I mean, I think this project is moving forward. I don't think it's going to be stopped. I think it's happening. So, the only other item is the open discussion on the day of play that we have talked about, and I can't even remember where we left it. I think we were talking about trying to do it again. Does anybody recall, were we talking about June or were we talking about the fall? And is there anybody who would be willing or interested in taking a lead on something like this? I know Meredith and I gave it a go. Meredith has a daughter graduating, so it's not going to fit into her schedule. But you know, we had a little bit of what I really would like is to be able to talk to somebody who's done one somewhere and hear a little bit about, you know, what they did. But we did not really have that much luck finding that, but it's through like the Aspen Institute. And we have a little bit of information. If anybody is interested and willing, I'm happy to send that info to you for some, you know, thinking about it and, you know, laying out plan. And then we could work with DPR to try to find a time that works with their schedule. Because I think they would have to, you know, support us some. No takers. All right, well, I will send I'll pull what I do have and send that out as well, and we will plan to talk about it again at our next meeting, which I think the February meeting is missing from the agenda, which I think is also going to be February 26th.
Yes, apologies. Yep.
Yeah,
February
that's okay.
26th.
I just was looking at that and I was like, wait, I'm sure we have, and I believe it is also virtual.
Correct.
Yes, and then just a note to everybody, the March 26th meeting is our date for the joint meeting with Parks and Rec. And I think that could have some budget stuff talked about at that meeting. Is that accurate? Yeah.
Yes.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay. And so that meeting
And
is
just,
really important.
sorry, Lizzie, one real
Yeah.
quick, and that is a tentative date. It's not been
Okay.
confirmed
Oh,
yet,
okay.
but that is what we're aiming for.
Would it either be that date or the Tuesday prior? Or could it be totally in flex?
That Thursday, the 26th of March, is kind of the date that we are tentatively
Working.
requesting and trying to, have as the joint date.
Okay, perfect. We have commission members' chair updates. Hamilton, what are our chair updates? That would be like, promise, I don't know. Do we have anybody chairing anything right now? I don't think we have anything. Do you?
No, I think the major updates we wanted to share was the Susan Cunningham discussion.
Okay.
And talking about we were trying to collect more data on the community centers.
Okay.
And let's see, but if there were any particular items that people wanted to pursue, that would be it. So the chair updates are a lot of times with like in Park and Rec, there are specific projects that you have to evaluate. So if there's specific items that people want to look at, that's normally what we do then.
So if anybody has anything, we're happy to listen. I guess first thing we need to do is adjourn the meeting, right, Iggy? If we've covered the agenda.
Can I ask a quick question
Yes,
before we do that?
Sure, Adam.
The Kenmore project, what was the reason why it was on the agenda, but now it's being delayed till March?
We were waiting on, I can go ahead, Lizzie. We're wanting to make sure that we provide a accurate update and just gathering all of that information and coordinating with the subject matter experts for that information. So with that being said, I felt like it was better to just wait until next month to provide that.
Great, thanks. Makes sense.
I do know the field is going to be available for use through the spring, and then I don't know exactly when it's starting, but I think it makes it through our spring season of, sports. So.
Right. Yeah, my main concern there, Nikki, you know this is I just want to make sure that it doesn't come to us at a point where it's too late for us to have an impact on with the details. So, but thanks, Iggy.
And just real quick on that as well, there is, just like any of the other counties' projects, a publicly available site with the kind of overview of the project. I'll drop the link again in the chat with the Kenmore projects.
With my dog barking, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.
All right.
Good night, Ezzy.
Do we need a motion to adjourn or?
Usually you
Yes.
Okay, then I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay.
Good night,
All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Okay, aye.
Aye.
I,
Right.
All right.
I
Take care.
I,
Take care.
Right. Good
Thanks.
team. Night, everyone.